What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Marketflow, powered by Thor, hosted by Mode. The cyber frogs have got a lot cooking, and if you don't know, you only have a couple days left to faction your frog. What does that mean? All we know is Andy says, "Trust me, bro," and it's going to have a big deal, a big impact when it comes to the art upgrade. So make sure you got your frogs faction. The market, what have we got going on? We have been seeing a lot of movement. We've got some green. We're nearing tops. You know what's going on. Let's go check it out. First thing I want to point out is, Bitcoin, we're pushing back up. We did break 70 and even broke 71K for a moment. We have found some resistance. We are currently looking to test the support of the EMAs. But let's take a look of what is really leading the cycle almost all around. And that would be shitcoins. If I call your favorite token a shitcoin, take no offense to it. I call them all shitcoins, right? But I mean, look at what tokens do when they break out of their all-time high range. And, we see similarities in shitcoins as well as major market caps. We just see the difference really in the time and how drastic and deep these pull downs and pumps really are. But regardless, we've got Pepe leading the market along with ETH. We talked about ETH in the last recording, how it just pumped those major daily candles and regained almost 60 days plus of downside in a single daily candle. So Pepe looking strong, and I honestly think that this is a good indicator for what we are about to see from Bonk. I say this all the time, but in my opinion, Bonk is the dog of Solana. Every dog has his day, and I don't think Bonk's is far away. I think Bonk is going to break these highs and start printing somewhat soon. Not financial advice. Do your own research. And if you don't know where to take profits or what you should be doing, if you have enough frogs, you actually have bonk calls. You can look at the daily. You know where your entrance and exits are. Know when to trade some of these coins. We've also added whiff on here for the degens, as well as a few other of the degen plays. So, yeah, frogs fuck Thor Prince. Get yourself some frogs. Going back to Bitcoin, we talked about this 68K last week. We really wanted to reclaim and hold 68K. We have had a couple of the 4-hour candles print below, but if we look at the daily, we haven't got any closes down below the 68 since these two wicks back to back, a spike down and a spike right back up. We didn't make the higher high yet, but we haven't made the higher low. But the fact that we haven't closed below that 68 on the daily is still pretty bullish to me. We look to be testing the RSI for support right now, as well as the EMAs. Are we going to find resistance here and fill out this Thor short entry? Right? We have this entry here. Are we going to fill out this short call with the take profit down here at 64.4? Or are we still printing these higher lows? And are we going to look for the breakout of the downtrend and reach up toward the next short? Kind of like, basically, are we going to find support here and break out? Or are we going to drop down and retest this zone and go from there? If we do drop down, if you notice that's still the higher low, right? That's still the higher low, still indicating a higher high. So we may look to pump up to this short entry, 74,000 testing highs for Bitcoin. And then our retest, our take profit point is just below where we are now. It's just below that 68,000. Like I said, that 68 is pretty significant in my mind, and we look to be printing and holding above it. The long-term metrics are looking really bullish for Bitcoin. Everything long term. It's just, are we going to break out really soon and leave people sidelined? Or are we going to see some more sideways for a couple more weeks, maybe even a couple months? But Bitcoin, even if it's moving up slowly, ranging sideways, Bitcoin dominance starts to drop, that is going to bring in alt season. We've already seen ETH print some serious candles indicating that alt season may be around the corner. And we've got some big target calls. We've talked about these calls for a couple weeks now. But we've got targets up here, $270 for Solana with some significant retraces. But is alt season about to commence? Are we about to see, what do we talk about? When you range inside and test all-time highs, when you decide to leave the zone, when market makers push it, they leave people sidelined, leave you behind and FOMOing near the top. It's kind of the same thing. We just see it in different scales of volatility and time, depending on how established the tokens are. So, look, are we getting back up here and getting ready to push past these locals and eventually test past the all-time highs altogether? Alt season could be around the corner. Somebody joined in. Fred, you're hot micing if you don't mind muting, bro. So again, we have our entrances. We've got a couple calls. One thing to indicate, we talked about last week, we had this zone right here in the middle. We said this was significant. We dropped, broke up, dropped through hard, found resistance. Now that we've broken out above it and found support, Thor has actually invalidated this call down here in the 60 range, right? We had a call all the way down here at about 65. This call has now been invalidated and removed now that we have found support on the top of the zone there. So we're looking pretty bullish. We've got a couple more longs. And honestly, if you get DCA entries at 144, or 150, that's still making the higher low in the grand scheme of things. That's a higher low. And yeah, Thor is calling for a take profit of 8%, which is really nice. But pay attention to where we're at in the market, because at any time, tokens could be making these moves. If you've got conviction, this is why we talk about trading spot bags, taking profits. Of course, you don't go broke by taking profits, but manage your bags and know where we're at in the cycle. Thor's making a lot of calls. It's been on fire for us. We're hitting a lot of data points all across. You see almost every token in the lineup has calls for it. So pay attention to the market. It's getting volatile. Above all things, make sure you protect yourself. And one thing, if you have not been using it yet, Jupiter offers us limit orders, which are great, but make sure that you can also use the DCA tool. Use the DCA tool to get in and out of your bags. Be it Bitcoin, shitcoins, whatever it is, use these tools that are available to us now to make sure you're setting zones and then let them do the work for you. You don't have to be glued to the charts all the time, right? That's the power of Thor, especially auto Thor. If you're finding that, this trading stuff still isn't quite for you, you're finding that, the volatility, it's nerve-wracking for you. You can't watch the swings. Well, that's why we have auto Thor. What is auto Thor? Auto Thor is our automated protocol that you simply enter Solana and USDC. Currently has just under 2 million TVL. and the average user right now has a P&L positive over 46%. But what Thor does is it buys low and it sells high. Buys low to sell high. This gives you back your time. This is an automatic tool to give you back your time. And if you need to use the Jupiter DCA, that will also give you back your time for the Thor calls you're taking or the calls you're taking on your own TA. Again, last call to go in and faction your frogs. Last call to faction frogs. Andy says, trust me, bro, it's going to be significant in the art upgrade. And I trust the bro. I'm not fading him. Frogs fuck, Thor Prince. See you guys Thursday morning for the next episode of Marketflow.